Okay, hello and welcome to class activity number 8. So today we're going to introduce you to Hyper-V, Microsoft Hyper-V, which is equivalent to VirtualBox. So you may want to use that instead of VirtualBox. I don't know, it's up to you. But all of our labs are really in the VirtualBox, and it's anyway. So you'll get to use it if you want. And some people, swear by Hyper-V, and it's more stable. You'll get to see it. You'll get to see it and you actually use it, create virtual machines and all of that. So Hyper-V comes with Microsoft operating system. It does not come with the home version. It comes with the enterprise, the professionals, and all the others except the home version. So, and they are not, it's not automatically installed. You have to install that as a feature within Microsoft. So we will, we're not going to be we're not going to be using the VirtualBox or the domain controller to install the Hyper-V in it, because once we launch the VirtualBox and you go in there and you have a VM running, you can't load another VM within a VM, because you can't load a hypervisor within a hypervisor. You can't do that. So we're going to leave the VirtualBox closed. We're going to leave the server off. If you have the server, the domain controller installed on a physical machine, then you should be able to add Hyper-V as a role and just use it like that we're going to be using. But what I'm going to do is, we're not going to do that because we're in a virtual environment. We are going to install Hyper-V on my host machine, my host Windows 11 computer right here. And you could do that also at home too, on your host machine. So we're not going to play around with the VirtualBox at all in this class activity. All right, so to install Hyper-V, go to the search and you want to type in turn on Windows features on and off. Okay, so you're going to have Hyper-V. The box is not going to be checked. I already installed it. So check the box, click OK, and go through the whole installation. It's going to reboot your system. And when you're all ready to go, you should be able to have the Hyper-V manager right here on in your taskbar. They pinned it automatically for you. Or if you just go to the search after you do the installation and you type Hyper-V, you want to launch the Hyper-V manager. All right, so let's assume you did that. Here is the Hyper-V manager. This is like the VirtualBox. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a VM. So right here, under New, create a virtual machine. All right. So this is what you see. So this is like creating a VM in VirtualBox, right? Same exact thing. So let's click on continue. Let's name it, let's demo VM, we'll call it like that. All right. We're gonna leave it stored wherever they want to. I don't care about where they're going to be able to. So, but this is where it's going to be stored. All the information about this virtual machine. Click on next. All right. Do you want generation 1 or generation 2? Generation 1 is fine because it supports a 32-bit and a 64-bit operating system. So leave it at that. Click on next. How much memory? 1 megabyte, just like assuming we're going to install a server. So 1 gigabyte is fine, not 1 megabyte. And it's going to be dynamic. So therefore, if we needed more memory, and we'll be able to expand. So leave it at that. Click on next. Do you want a default virtual switch? Yeah, let's connect it. Remember, VirtualBox have a default switch by itself, right? When you have an internal network. So we'll have a default switch. Click on next. All right. Do you want the hard drive created? Of course I do. And I want the hard drive to be, let's just make it 50 gig, like that, 1550. All right. And that's the virtual hard disk. Click on next. Install the operating system later. We could do that, but what we could do is let's install it operating system from a bootable disk or the ISO file. So let's click on the ISO file, right? And go and browse where that file is. So remember, we put that file wherever you have it, just in case. So let me go and say, I'm going to actually find it. Let's see if I can find it. I put it in here. I just wanted to show you. So it's exactly the same way. There you go. Here's my ISO file. I put it in a DVD. It's ready. It's going to be ready to be installed. Right? Take a picture of this and put it on the bottom of your class activity number 8. Okay? Click on next. This is the information. This is the summary of the info, and click on finish. All right. So it might be a little bit easier actually than going through. I don't know if it's easier or not than the what do you call it? The creating a virtual machine in VirtualBox or not. All right. So now let's do a little bit more. Let's right click on the VM itself. Right? We should have called it server or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Right? Connect meaning you're gonna actually do the installation. We're not gonna do that. All right? We're not gonna run and install the server 22. This is just to show you how to use Hyper-V. Okay? Click on settings. All right, and the first thing, let's take a look at the BIOS. This is the hardware of your system that you borrowed. Here's your network adapter if you want a NIC to be added. So let's add a NIC. You know what? What the hell? Add a NIC. There's your network adapter. It's going to be connected to a default switch, right? We don't want VLANs. Okay, that's it. Just connect it to a regular switch. Good. So we have that. Let's go to BIOS. If you click on the BIOS, BIOS tells you how you're going to boot up. It's going to go to the CD. First, look for an operating system, the hard drive, the network adapter, or the floppy. That's fine, right? And by the way, when you're done installation, you always should take the ISO file out of the tray so you can always boot up from the hard drive. The integrated drive electronics, that's the hard drive. If you click on security, we don't have to worry about encryptions or anything like that. That's if you want to encrypt your hard drive and with a key. Memory, all right, we reserved 1 gigabyte. You can go in here if you want to ever need more. Just increase it if your system is acting very slow or even crashing because you may not have enough RAM. You need to increase this number. Remember, we made it dynamic. That's the maximum you can have. This is the minimum you need. This is what we're using. We're not going to use anything like that. All right, the processor, if you have more than one processor, you can add the hard drive itself. There you go. This is the hard drive, and this is where it's going to be located. So on the hard drive, let's do the following. Let's click on Edit. You can locate your hard drive. Click on Next. Where is the hard drive located? Is it on the compact hard drive? You can convert it. You can expand it if you want to, right? So let's just click cancel. We don't need to do any of that. If you click on inspect, the hard drive. All right, it's telling me information about the hard drive and where it's located, the name of it, and so on. And it's a 50 gig. So take a picture of this, right? If you want to know how big your hard drive is and where all the information saved, the name of it, the current file size is 4 megabyte. That's nice, right? Because that's the location. That's the what we talked about last time. On the last class activity, the file system. All right. So once you take your picture, screenshot, remember to put it on the bottom of class activity number 8. All right. So moving on, here is your ID controller for that connects to the hard drives. Here's your DVD. Okay, it has the image in there already. The small computer system interface controller, which we don't have, that allows you to cascade up to 7 devices on one adapter. Here's your network adapter. We're already connected to a default switch, right? Here is your serial ports. We don't have any, we don't need any serial ports. And disk drives, we don't have any of those either. Okay, now let's get down to the bottom. Right here where it says management. Just a couple of things when you have under integrated services. Let's look at the integrated services first. Under the integrated services, we have the OS shutdown. So what do you do when the system shuts down? Oops, sorry. Leave it checked. Leave all of these checked. I just want to explain to you what these do. OS shutdown is to initiate a shutdown by the host. So if the system was running the demo and your computer and you shut down the host, it would automatically shut down this too, right? You don't want to get the data to be corrupted. So that's a good thing. Time synchronization is VM uses the host timer. So your VM machine will use the timer that you are using as a host. Okay, data exchange is it's data being exchanged between the host and the VM. Remember, we had to install a special diskette on the virtual machine to allow us to drag and drop, those additional VMware VM stuff installation at the end of the installation of the server. Here we don't have to do that. Microsoft did that already, so leave that checked to allow us to drag and drop files from the host to the virtual machine. Heartbeat, if the system, heartbeat means if the VM becomes unresponsive, it allows you to shut it down without affecting anybody else. All right. Backup volume, shadow copies. That means it will give you a snapshot, like a restore point. So if you want to make it, so you can come back here. It's going to make a copy of the whole drive. If you make any changes to it, you can always go back to and ignore all the changes that were made. All right. Take a picture of this. I want to make sure that you listen to what I had to say about the integration services, because those are very, very important. All right. The other two things that we really need to look at is the automatic start action. Automatically start if it was running when the service is stopped, and automatic stop action. So those are the two things. All right. That's it. I mean, the only other thing is to start, you just go right here. You can start, or you can click on start and we'll start booting up. Exactly the same way, not connect. You want it to connect to. So if you click on start, it will start installing the server. Here, I'll show you. You don't have to do that, but we do have the operating system. See, it's running. All right, so you don't have to do this, but you can if you want to. You're done for the lab, so you can shut down server. and we're done. So there is, and you can continue with the installation, right? Actually, do this and take a picture, but don't do the installation, okay? That's your last picture. But if you shut it down, that's okay, don't worry about it. All right, so I am going to close that, say yes, we don't need it, close that, and so still running, turn off, turn it off, and I am going to close, and we are done for classic.